if I look at these guys, it says find the measure of each angle. So once again, we're talking about vertical angles here. The idea of vertical angles are the ones that are across from each other. And so when I look at this guy is across from angle 1. So those are vertical angles. So right away I can find the measure of angle 1. The measure of angle 1 has to be 40 degrees. Because these are vertical angles, they have to be the same. All right. But now I also need to find angle 2 and angle 3. Well, when you look at this, if we kind of ignore part of this problem, let me scribble out all this stuff that's down here. Okay. Oh, I scribbled out a little too much. Let me try again. I can do better. Okay. If I scribble all this out and scribble out this ray, let's pretend that's not down here. If I just had this line with an angle coming off of this thing, well, this line is a 180-degree angle, which means these are supplementary angles, okay? These create 180 degrees, and if they create 180 degrees, it means that they're supplementary angles, okay? We call this a linear pair, as we've kind of talked about. So this is a linear pair. They add up to 180 degrees, which means if I want to find angle 2, all I have to do to find angle 2 is I just say, hey, this has got to be 180 minus the 40. That's 140 degrees. So angle 2 is 140 degrees. Now that creates a situation where these add up to 180 degrees. Okay? So let me come down here. Let me mark angle 2. So angle 2 is 140 degrees. But now look at angles 2 and 3. Those are vertical angles. When we see these lines cross, they're across from one another. And if they're across from one another, then those are vertical angles. So we would say the measure of angle 3 is also 140 degrees, okay? But look at the next one, same kind of thing. Vertical angles, let's look at vertical angles first. So the measure of angle 1 is also 123 degrees because those are vertical angles. And I added an extra 0 in there. Let me try again. So those are vertical angles, so angle 1 is the same as this guy. These are the angles that are across from one another, okay? So they're the same, they're equal. And then if I look at angles 2 and 3, once again, I can identify one of these guys. Let me scribble out some stuff. If I were to kind of ignore this, well, that's creating, I have two angles that form a 180-degree angle. I have two angles that form a straight angle. And so that means that these are supplementary angles. And if these are supplementary angles, then that means they add up to 180. So if I want to find angle 2, it's 180 minus the 123. And if I could write, 123 would look like this. There we go. And so if I subtract that, that gives me 57 degrees. So that's angle 2 is 57 degrees. And I can easily add those up and check it. They're supplementary angles. They should add up to 180 degrees, and they do. So now I can say that the measure of angle 2 equals 57 degrees. The measure of angle 3 then, these are now vertical angles. So if these are vertical angles, angle 2 and angle 3 are vertical angles. So that's also 57 degrees. Okay? So again, that idea of finding vertical angles, when we see lines are crossing, right away we can identify the vertical angles and say that they're congruent, say that they're the same. But because I have lines, because I have straight angles, 180-degree angles, I also have supplementary angles that I can find. And so when I find those supplementary angles, it gives me more vertical angles, okay? So I can easily find all of these by only having one.